Hi there, Stone here from Switch on Health again, and we're looking at hypoglycemia, part 2. So let's get into it. So how does hypoglycemia lead you towards type 2 diabetes? Because hypoglycemia is low blood sugar levels, and diabetes, by definition, is hyperglycemia, high blood sugar levels. How do we get from having symptoms of low blood sugar to then being in a kind of permanent state of high blood sugar? How does that work? If you're really brave, pause the video now, see if you can work it out. If you're not so brave, or you've already paused, keep watching. All right, so what happens, as we learned in the first video, in hypoglycemia, we have a high carbohydrate diet. This leads to a rapid rise in blood sugar levels, okay? Not the kind of rise in blood sugar we should normally get after eating a healthy, balanced meal of whole foods, where we get a slow, gentle, sustained rise in blood sugar. That's quite normal. When we eat a high-carb meal that's not balanced, and when we eat refined carbohydrates and simple sugars, we get a rapid rise in blood sugar levels. Okay, this disrupts our homeostasis. Whoop, whoop, danger, Will Robinson. Okay, the body is like, whoa, man, we got to do something about these high blood sugar levels, okay? So what do? We're just going to pump out the insulin because we really need to get these blood sugar levels back down now, yesterday, already, okay? So remember that, what people tend to eat, all of us, what we tend to eat, typically, we kind of get into a habit with what we eat, and if we're consuming a lot of carbs, we tend to do this over a long period of time, especially in today's world, where unfortunately a lot of the foods that we're exposed to and encouraged to eat tend to be more on the carb side, okay? So over a long period of time, we keep getting, blood sugar levels going up, insulin getting pumped out, bringing blood sugar levels back down, okay? Pump out the insulin, 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 insulin. And over time, our cells, they're like, enough already with the insulin, yeah? They're like, I'm done with you, insulin. Leave me alone, stop nagging. So the cells develop what is called insulin resistance. And this is the key. This is why we can go from having low blood sugar to high blood sugar, because the cells no longer effectively respond to the insulin. So what happens if we've got high blood sugar levels and we're pumping out the insulin and the cells just don't want to know anymore? Well, the blood sugar levels stay high, don't they? And what's it called when you've got just sustained high blood sugar levels? Well, it's called diabetes, right? So this is how hypoglycemia leads to type 2 diabetes. This is especially the case, and it gets worse if our person continues just eating their high carb diet, which is what caused all of this in the first place, okay? So we get decreased insulin sensitivity of the cells. Therefore, we get less glucose entering the cell. It's not entering the cell, it's staying in the blood. We've got high blood sugar levels because the sugar's not getting inside the cell, okay? So what happens? Well, even though our blood sugar levels are now high, we actually start getting symptoms of low blood sugar levels, hypoglycemia. We feel low on energy. We're like, ugh, I can't think. Give me some sugar and a coffee. Give me anything to get these blood sugar levels, or rather to get the blood sugar into my cell, so that my cell can think and do what it's supposed to do. So yeah, what a vicious circle we get into, with just around and around and around. We feel like rubbish. We eat more sugar. And does that sugar help? No, ultimately, in the long run, that just makes it all worse, and we go down the path of type 2 diabetes. Things do get worse. What can we do about all this? Well, I did say some of this in the first video. I'm going to say it again because it's really important, right? Balanced diet. If you don't know how or don't know where to start, see your nutritionist, okay? Protein in every meal. Martin's #1 top naturopathic tip for blood sugar levels, protein in every meal. Chromium, I'm going to talk about in a little bit more detail in this one. Exercise. Now, if you are someone, or if you've got a client who is just allergic to exercise and just is like, oh, look at me, you think I can run? Some people really got a bit of an aversion to exercise. So you know what? We're not even going to call it exercise. We're going to call it movement. We're going to call it physical activity. We're going to call it fun, right? We're going to play with the kids. We're going to take the kids out on a bike ride. We're going to take the dog for a run around the park. We're going to go and see if we can chuck a ball through a hoop. We're going to get in a boat and row with some people and try not to drown. We're going to join a swim club. We're going to join five-a-side soccer and kick a ball around. We're going to go dancing. Exercise doesn't have to be a chore. It can be and should be fun and social engagement and connection with others and community and all these wonderful things, right? And how does exercise help? Well, it increases our insulin sensitivity. It makes the cells more responsive to insulin. Okay, wonderful, right? Not only does it do that, but also because we need energy to do our fun activity. Guess what? The sugar actually it gets into the cells and we use that sugar up. So it's not just hanging around in the blood. So it's much, much, much more healthy for us. Okay, most of our techniques for dealing with blood sugar levels are nutritional in nature, but herbalists can also help. Herbal bitters, very good for hypoglycemia. For you herbalists out there, there is a herb called gymnema, which is also very good for having high blood sugar levels. I won't talk about these in detail, but please, 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 especially with something like chromium, please be aware of any potential interactions if you or the person is on medication for their blood sugar levels, okay? If you're not sure, see your nutritionist or your naturopath for help, okay? We're the trained professionals. All right, chromium. Really good for hunger cravings and carb cravings, okay? And what does chromium do? Well, essentially, it helps to lower blood sugar levels. So really good if your blood sugar levels are too high. Okay, now we're also going to give chromium if you've got hypoglycemia. So how does that work? If somebody's blood sugar levels are low, why are we going to give chromium if it makes their blood sugar levels lower? Okay, if you can't figure that out, watch the next slide. The answer is insulin sensitivity, okay? Chromium makes our cells more sensitive, more responsive to insulin. We need less of the insulin. It does a better job of getting sugar out of the blood into the cell because the cells are more primed for insulin. The body doesn't need to keep pumping as much of it out to maintain our blood sugar levels in those limits that we want it to be in. Okay, so chromium, really good for this stuff, but really must be used with caution. You don't just want to go, knocking back the chromium without any consideration to anything else. So what do I recommend? I recommend you see your nutritionist or your naturopath for help, okay? Trained professionals. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. Learn more with Switch on Health.